Yeah, go for it, man. I would have thought you would have taken this opportunity during the quarantine stuff. Let it fly. I love that. A long agenda tonight. I might be here a while. I guess that's better than some of the.
Call meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. Welcome to the session of your Brookings City Council. Ask the city clerk to make note of the roll.
All are present this evening.
Okay, thank you. Council, the first item is the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, please call a roll.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tiltonburn. Aye. Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye. Okay, the consent agenda is approved. There's nothing removed from the consent agenda. Going to open forum.
It was my idea. It was my idea. You're fine. You're fine. This evening, we have a very special recognition to make. Keith Corbett began his professional life in service to his country, and then he returned to the state of South Dakota and spent at least a few decades in service to his state. And during that time, and during, in particular, the last 11 years, he's committed to Brookings. We'd like to recognize him for all of the roles that he has played during his time as mayor. He served in a variety of roles, including city council member from May 2010 until May 2017. That's not right. Oh, I see why. I got it. Okay. Brookings Health System Board of Trustees from June 2013 to June 2018. The Joint Powers Board from May 2015 to May 2016. Brookings Municipal Utilities Board from July 2010 to June 2012. The BEDC Leaders Roundtable. The Communities of Excellence, and has served as our mayor from May 2017 through until May 2021. A number of notable projects have been initiated under his leadership, and that includes our recruitment of Bell Brands, the design and building of the City County Government Center, the passage and plan for the I-29 interchange, the Dakota Nature Park, SDSU Performing Arts Center, the Larson Center, the 22nd Avenue Project, the Brookings Airport runway reconstruction, and helped provide leadership during navigation of COVID-19. You've just done a couple things while you've been here. In honor of that, we're going to present the mayor with a flag and the gavel that he has used to keep us in order, and a plaque. So I hope you will all join me in recognizing Mayor Corbett.
I'm sorry, Jodell. Well, finally, a picture where I'm not the shortest person in it, but wasn't the tallest either. But and no, Roxy, I did not tell them to call you up. So lots happened in the last many, many years, and I'm thankful for it. And I can't tell you how honored I am to be on the city council. We've had some tough days. You know what? People of Brookings are right there behind you. And that's what makes it so great. And best part is we're going on our 48th wedding anniversary coming up here in August, so couldn't do it without her. And with all these great people, two outstanding city managers I've been fortunate to work with, Paul now and Jeff Weldon before Paul, and great, I can't think of how many different city council members. I was going to try to add them up, but whatever. In the interest of time, because we have a very long meeting tonight, so just say thank you. Thank you to the people of Brookings, and keep supporting your council and all our great employees. Thank you. Oh, at this time, Chief Erickson, will you come up and introduce our next presentation? Oh, and happy birthday, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce the United Way, who's also with Brookings County Resiliency, and she's here to share about that program, and then I'll have a few things I would like to add when she's finished. So I'll turn it over to Heidi.
Thank you, and thank you guys for your time today. A couple weeks ago, as a county, just really as our geography that we chose to work with, but we were awarded the Resilient Communities Award from the CPCM, Center for Prevention of Childhood Maltreatment. You would think I would have that rolling off my tongue for as many times as we've said it. But that is a state-funded organization that rose out of Jolene's Law, and it's housed in the USD School of Public Health. They have a 10-year strategic plan to reduce childhood maltreatment across the state. And just to give a brief background of how we came to today, that there was a small group of us here in Brookings, Darla Beal with Brookings County Youth Mentoring, Nikki Eining with with Avera Behavioral Health, and then Chad Adamson and Michelle Vanderbeard from the school district and myself. We kind of started just meeting to talk about ways that we could encourage and promote evidence-based trainings that are available from across the state that are typically free, and just really how can we collaborate as a community. And so in 2018, we did sponsor a training from a gentleman from Minneapolis with the Search Institute, who came and did some training to our mentors, to our school district. And then in 2019, our group did a panel discussion at the CPCM state conference. After that, we were approached by them, and they said, hey, we are working on a new initiative, and it is really using the CDC guidelines on how to prevent adverse childhood experiences and decrease violence to our children. So they asked us if Brookings would be the pilot for that program and really help them build out that framework. And so that's what we've been doing for the last couple years. Once we said, yep, we're in, we'll be that facilitating team, we really started pulling together lots of different groups from across the community. We had healthcare, we had education, we had nonprofits, we had businesses, we had law enforcement, we had everybody we could think of to talk about where are we at, looking at those guidelines, and where maybe do we have some gaps and how do we fill them to bring together that, that wraparound services for our families and our youth. So we did that for quite a few months, meeting, doing that, and like I said, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, we received the award, and really now the work has begun. The sustain portion, as anybody knows, is that hard, challenging part of how do we keep going. And so we've put out that we are encouraging businesses, organizations, individuals to become a resilient motivator, to keep us motivated knowing that that is where we're going, that's where we're at, we're going to continue down that road. So by signing on to become a resilient motivator, you're saying that you'll come to those quarterly meetings where we can continue to talk about best practices. We can help if a business is having a situation of, hey, we need a better family-friendly policy in here. All of those kind of things. How can we help doing those things as well as providing some trainings? And so this is where we're at. We've had over 30 people, organizations, businesses already sign on to that. We thank you for the support and the encouragement that we've received from the city of Brookings. Law enforcement, park and rec, we've met with lots of different departments even within the city to talk about how does this look and how do we continue to move forward. So thank you guys for that continued support. Thank you to everyone in Brookings who's had a hand in this. We're saying thank you, but still keep coming along with us. We're not done yet. And that's kind of how we got to where we're at, and I'll kick it over to Chief Erickson.
Thanks, Heidi. So, you know, from what she described, it tells you what it takes to get a large initiative like this to happen. So many different community members, organizations. It's not just Child Protective Services or law enforcement. It takes a huge team. And so, along with several other professions, law enforcement is considered a mandatory reporter when it comes to child neglect and abuse. We receive training, and we're obligated by law to report anything that we observe. And the great thing about the Resilient Communities program is that it provides an avenue for training and reporting practices for members of our community that aren't normally a mandatory reporter. So there's a lot of places in our community that fall into one of these categories. As Heidi mentioned, there are so many times that children are in contact with the people in our community and that are not law enforcement, medical, etc. And each of these interactions with the proper training provide an opportunity to get an abused or neglected child the help that they need. And so that's one of our goals. And so this evening I'll be signing the pledge on the behalf of the Brookings Police Department to do our part to help with this framework, and we're very happy and excited to do so. Open for any questions for me or Heidi.
Councilmember Bacon.
I just want to thank you for all the work. I was able to attend the first few meetings and then life got in the way, but I really appreciate all the work that you as leaders, but also every organization that's participated in this process. It helps us once again be a more cohesive community, inclusive community, and so thank you for your work.
You can find out more information at resilientsd.com. And then also at the social networks Facebook page, we have some kind of quick 15-minute videos that, again, explain it because it's a big thing. And sometimes you have to hear it a couple times to really sink in. But thank you guys for your support on that.
Well, thank you for your dedication to the great program. So people that watch and people in the audience know another great program in Brookings. So thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this time, Assistant City Manager will give a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about our Brookings Insights performance management platform that we had just launched earlier today. So performance management, the root of performance management is taking a data-driven approach to our decision-making as well as our operations. But it's much more than just accumulation of different numbers. It also allows us to review the data of our operation and sets the foundation for continuous improvement. So what you're going to see here is the dashboard in front of you. This is available on our website. If you go to our homepage, go to the Government tab, and then hit the Brookings Insight Performance Dashboard, you can get to this page. It will stay live, and you can view it as much as you'd like. So what you'll see before you is some drop-downs on the very top, and these align with the City Council focus areas outside of the CFO's tax report. So these are the focus areas that City Council had recently adopted within the strategic plan. And then you look at the drop-downs on these actually each represent individual metrics that we track as a community to help us tell the story of our operations, as well as look back on history, benchmark, national averages, and things of that nature so that we're always trying to improve and look forward. But really what these metrics do is they allow us to tell the story. There's always anomalies. As you can imagine with COVID-19, we see some extreme fluctuations in revenues and different things of that nature. So as important as the data is, it's also the story that goes along with it. So as you navigate this, you're more than welcome to kind of go to these drop downs and certainly look and click on any one of these individual metrics. It'll take you to a page much like this for all of them, where you'll have the actual numbers. It's interactive, where you have these little pop-outs. Right underneath it, this is the overview statement, and this will explain to you what this metric is tracking, and frankly, why we believe it's important for us to track these metrics. Underneath that is the analysis, which our talented department heads go in, and that's where they try to make sense of the data that you're seeing before you and what we're seeing here in terms of different fluctuations, what these data points tell us. If you go back to these top ones here, and if you just click, for example, fiscal responsibility, this will bring you to a full page view. So this is going to give you an overview. You can certainly scroll through it. It's just going to give you the data points with that overview statement explaining what it's measuring. But at any point, if one of these look interesting to you, you can click on it, and it'll take you back to this page where you'll get that more detail, where you'll have the pop-out boxes, the analysis in there, and so on and so forth. So the search feature up here is pretty handy too. So if you're curious on how our sales taxes perform, you can start typing in sales, and these are the different metrics that we have here: first penny, second penny, different breakdowns there. Of course, CFO Eric Rangel does a fantastic job with his CFO report that he delivers to the council. He updates this data monthly in this system, so you'll be able to come here and see year-over-year comparisons, prior year versus budget, current year. Frankly, just an absolute plethora of data that will now be available to the city council, members of the public. Our staff will be updating these metrics on a quarterly basis. So as we move into 2021, most of these other ones outside of the CFO's report will be updated 4 times per year. The goal of this program, as aforementioned, is really to set the stage for continuous improvement as an organization. With this platform being launched today, it's also a platform that we want to continuously improve. As we evolve, there will be probably different data points that become worthwhile to measure. We'll have more national averages, different best practices, different things to benchmark ourselves against. So this is a website that will be in flux. We're going to, again, continuously update it and make sure that we're tracking the most meaningful metrics to our community. But again, as staff, we just see this as a wonderful tool to share what we're doing as a community, the progress that we're making, and again, always set that stage for continuous improvement going forward. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Meschke. All right, next, SDSU Student Association report. Here she comes. No, you just had a change of command up there, so I didn't get a chance to find out who was coming or if or when, so welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm the new Government Affairs Chair for the SDSU Students Association for the 2021-22 school year. A little bit about me briefly. I'm a sophomore at SDSU majoring in political science, Spanish, and global studies. I'm super excited to step into this role, although I do certainly have some big shoes to fill. So moving into the Students Association report, there's been some business conducted since we've last been here. We were able to recognize campus partners, senators, and ex officio members of the year for their hard work. We also approved some exciting ordinances to our bylaws and amendments surrounding requirements for good university standing and campaign finance disclosure for those running for Students Association and who are involved in the election process. Additionally, we approved our 2022 budget amidst a tough budgeting year with lots of hard but important decisions made. Also, a brand new group of senators was sworn in, as well as a new executive team, and we have had 2 full meetings since then with that group, so I expect I will have much more to report as the Senate gets to work on tackling its platform. Moving into university updates, the SDSU COVID response team has hosted a few vaccine clinics for all students over the past few weeks and months and has been frequently providing information on receiving vaccines in Brookings. Drive-through COVID-19 testing is still available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 1 p.m., and will actually be open this summer as well at times to be determined for students. Though fortunately, according to the dashboard, we only have 2 students and no faculty with active cases right now. Finals are next week, and the university is very excited to be holding an in-person graduation. We are very grateful for all the measures that have kept us on campus and in person this year. So that concludes my report. Thanks for your time, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Well, thank you, and just a couple notes. Please about the State-a-thon on Saturday, and
Oh, yeah.
I wish everybody had that opportunity, the energy in that building. Every time that State-a-thon gets together, it's just, I know, Nick, you've worked with them closely in the past, and it's just electrifying, and I think President and I walked out of there just pretty happy. And I think do you remember the total? Was it 233,000 they raised?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's outstanding. And then, of course, the athletes, not to be outdone, had to do a little work this weekend too and
Oh, yeah.
performed again. So it's just outstanding. And I think getting ready for some finals coming up. And so, well,
Absolutely.
thank you. Any questions? They're letting you off easy. Next
Perfect.
meeting, they'll be tougher. No.
Thanks for your
No, they
time.
won't. Thank you. Okay, next we'll have open forum. That's a time where anybody that wants to speak to a topic that's not on the agenda tonight. And if you've not been here before, you can speak once, and time limit is 3 minutes. In front of me, whoever's standing there will see them too. And there's a green light means you're talking, yellow means time to start wrapping it up, and red means your 3 minutes are up. So anyone care to speak to a topic that's not on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing nobody rush up here, we'll just close the forum. And then turn it over to the city manager for the next item.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. The current mask mandate for all indoor, public, and private places is set to expire later this month. The resolution before Council into a recommendation until the end of May. If approved, the resolution would go into effect immediately. Currently in Brookings County, cases continue to decline. As of today we had 10 new cases. The rate of positivity percentage from the hospital's dashboard decreased from last week from 6.9 to 5.9%. There are no occupied COVID beds at the hospital, and Brookings County is still in substantial spread. Deaths do remain at 37, and approximately 37.6% of the total county has received one dose, and 46.6% of those 16 years and older in Brookings County have received at least one dose, or one vaccine dose. At last week's pod, we only had 300 shots that were administered, though we did have 1,500 available. Our community partners and city staff continue to market the vaccinations opportunities here throughout the community, including the pharmacies and healthcare providers. I'm happy to announce that today it was decided that a single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot will be given and available for all walk-ins this Thursday. So once again, we encourage people to take advantage of that. It's the one dose if you've been thinking about it, and that will be this Thursday at the pod at the Swiftel Center from 8 to 4 p.m. We'll try to get that out in social media, and of course, we're working with all of our community partners. Once again, that's one dose for all walk-in individuals that want to take advantage of that from 8 to 4 at Swiftel. There is a COVID vaccine survey out there that we're working on to understand the needs throughout the community here, and we encourage people to visit our social media page or our website at cityofbrookings-sd.gov to fill out that survey so we can understand and provide better information on the vaccination. In March, the transition of the mask mandate ordinance to a resolution was discussed by City Council with the assumption that the most vulnerable populations would have an opportunity to be fully inoculated by this time. Since that time, all agencies, our partner agencies, have worked to educate the community of available pods and pharmacy options. With a downward trend of cases, staff does recommend approval of the resolution. I will note that if an upward trend does occur based on the community's behavior, council does always have that opportunity to pivot back to a mandate if necessary. And we would just have to make that happen through a necessary meeting and then, of course, an additional meeting 5 days thereafter. So with that, be more than happy to answer any questions council might have. I do know Daniel Scholl from the university is here as well if you should have questions for him.
Why don't we go ahead and take this off the table because this was tabled. So
moved.
we have a motion and a second. Bonnie, please call the roll on removing it from the table.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Okay, it's back on the floor. So now entertain a motion to approve Resolution 21-024.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on Resolution 21-024? Please, I should tell anybody that's speaking, if you've not been here before, please state your name so that the record has that. So thank you.
President, I'm just here to show support for the resolution to be put in place because I do think it's a good idea to still encourage this behavior, masking when possible and stuff like that. So I'm just here as a citizen to show my support for the approval of this.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Comment?
Bradley Walker, resident. I see no purpose in this resolution. It is just empty words. Their current resolution or ordinance is going to expire this Friday. Why would you want to extend this on and on and on and on? You should have passed this resolution when you first introduced it a month and a half ago. But you continue to kick the can down the road. I don't know where you're getting your data about the hospitalization. According to the Brookings Register today, there was 2 occupied COVID beds in the Brookings Health System. The reason that you said before was that you weren't ready to pass this resolution was because you were worried about the variants. Well, at that time, there was 2 confirmed cases of the variants in South Dakota, none in Brookings County. Both those cases fully recovered with no hospitalization required. Now, according to your expert in the last video presentation you set forth, there are 71 cases of the variant in South Dakota. 1 confirmed in Brookings of the 1 particular variant. You didn't have the specific numbers for the other variants. So again, you ignore the science, or you create your own science to fit your own agenda. Earlier, when the thresholds were met to advance to the reopening stage, you decided that the Brookings or the DOH South Dakota website was not accurate because you relied on your own numbers from the Brookings healthcare system, which did not align with the ones on the South Dakota website. And then when your Mr. Merkley was asked about that by Mr. Collins, Mr. Merkley said he would defer to the South Dakota Department of Health numbers. So continuing this on and on is ridiculous. And I don't know why you guys are even wearing masks up there now. You guys are all, I'm assuming you all got the shot and you're all fully immunized. And it doesn't seem to matter to Mr. Niemeyer whether he wears a mask or not, because I personally witnessed him in public without a mask on and not social distancing. So, you know, just what good is this resolution unless you are planning to bring back the restrictions at a later date, like at the drop of a hat, when you can you say that there is another public health crisis. So I would just let this thing take no action and just let the ordinance expire. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else care to speak to the resolution?
Good evening. I'm kind of quiet. I'm Kelly Weiniger. I have written you guys numerous of times. I am a mother, and I also work at Tribal Reses as an advisor. And I know that masks do work. Yes, we want to get rid of them. We all do. I'm all for letting it expire, but have a resolution in place just in case our cases go back up. Right now, currently, there's 103 hospitalizations right now. One of them is a dear friend of mine who had to be intubated. He lives in Lake Ponset, and he has a family. I'm sorry, but we need to keep our masks. I also have a 19-year-old daughter who competed in Miss South Dakota USA this weekend with North Dakota. Every single one of those teens and those girls and those people that represented our states wore masks, and I'm very proud of them. I don't know what else to say. I also work with Crow Creek as an advisor out there. One of the counselors have 8 family members that passed away this past year. 3 were her siblings. 5 of them were extended family, and they were all from COVID. Mask work, they say. It shows. I've written you guys 100 times. FAU, Duke, Mayo, they've given stats. They do work. And that's all I want to say. I want to know, I just think that we can, get rid of it, but keep the resolution in place so that if there is an emergency, and we need to extend that and we need to have the masks. So that's what I'm going to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions? Councilman Wendell?
I have a question that's maybe more focused. Will we have an opportunity later in the meeting to publicly discuss the pod or vaccination rates? Or would that conversation be most appropriate now?
That would be right now.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to get some sense of the thinking around, first of all, I want to say that I really appreciate the walk-in availability that has been created, and in particular, if the one dose vaccine is available in a walk-in environment on Thursday, that's phenomenal. I'm wondering about the conversations that have been taking place around offering some type of evening or weekend walk-in availability. I think there are significant chunks of the folks who aren't yet vaccinated that 8 to 4 time slot just is not feasible. And it would seem to me that we could, even on one evening or one weekend, really target folks that just may not be able to make an 8 to 4 appointment happen.
And I might have Jake and maybe Daniel Scholl speak to this as well. I'm not sure if you know more of this at the pod. So the pod has a general management team involved, and what we've done is made that request early this week to the pod, is to request, and we've shown city support for that. And so hopefully they'll accept that and have a pod later in the evening. It does require resources of the hospital and other people throughout the community, so they have to come together and ensure those resources are available. So we did make that recommendation and request. I just haven't heard yet if it's been honored yet. I do know that they're also looking at different ages for people that can receive that vaccination. So as things constantly change, I think they're going to be more favorable to maybe having more pods, is my assumption, based on those criteria. But Jake or Daniel, if you guys have more information that you'd like to, okay, that's correct. So I apologize. I wish I had more information. But as we do receive word on whether or not they will have that pod, I'll make sure and share it with council, but also the public as well.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? Are there opportunities to provide an evening or a weekend walk-in clinic that is maybe outside of the pod structure, but just offered through one of the clinics or the Brookings Health System directly?
That would be something we would have to ask the medical providers.
And we haven't yet asked about them providing it outside of the pod resources.
I know I've talked to Jason Merkley earlier this week about some of those opportunities, because there are a lot of events occurring throughout the community, and how can we make it more accessible? I know he did throw out the opportunities to communicate with our community nurses, because I know we do have 2 in our community that could provide those type of services. So we can continue to express those desires with the medical community. But Daniel, have you heard much on this? No? Okay. So, but Councilmember Wendell, we can make sure and express that to the medical community, desires to do so. And if they can make that happen, we can make sure and share that with the council and the public.
Councilmember Tilton Burn?
I appreciate this discussion about extending the hours. I know this is something I've talked with Paul about already, and maybe servicing a segment of the community that's being forgotten. I just wanted to note that I did see on social media that there will be vaccine clinics for ages 16 and over, and there are a couple of days that they appear to be hosting those. And those timeframes go from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., a little bit later than what they have been doing, and for ages a little bit younger. And so if anybody is currently looking for vaccinations that fit that range, those will be made available rather quickly here. And there's more information online if you need to learn about it.
Thank you. Councilmember Bacon?
And also, the pharmacies in town have been offering, and of course, they have much later hours. So they've got those extended evening hours that families may need, that, work during the day. So I think we're hopefully providing, we just have to make sure they all know that those opportunities are out there and really encourage them to get there.
Okay. Council, any other comments or questions? Councilman Niemeyer?
I guess on this resolution, I'm in favor of it, but we do need to remember there are probably going to be some businesses that may still require masks, and we should respect their wishes. Just because maybe the corporate rules could be their own personal reasons of how they want to run their own business. I think we need to respect everybody's wishes on this, and enjoy what we've gotten through.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Collins?
Just a quick question. When will this take effect when we pass it? Immediately?
Go ahead, Steve.
It'd be upon publication of this resolution.
Okay, which is,
It'd be later this week, I believe.
Friday, April 30th.
okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I guess I misconstrued the language in that last section of the resolution. So I read it as taking effect immediately.
Well, yeah, and then there's the concluding, it is effective immediately upon both of those have to occur. Yeah.
Council, any other questions? Please call the roll.
I just
Okay.
want to clarify that. What does that in its expiration? Are we waiting until publication? I just want to make sure that folks that are listening understand what this transition will look like in terms of timing.
The current one will expire according to almost simultaneous with the publication date of this, of the effective date of this one, which would be April 30th.
Okay, Bonnie, please call the roll.
Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
No.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Resolution 21-024 is approved. Now going into contracts and change orders, and here comes City Engineer Jackie Lanning.
Okay, thank you. This first item is action on Resolution 21-037, rejecting bids on the 2021-01-SWR Sidewalk Maintenance Project. We held a bid letting on April 20th, and we received one bid for this project. This is our sidewalk replacement trip hazard project for the year, and our low bid was $89,580, which was about 40% higher, or no, excuse me, 66% higher than our engineer's estimate of $53,937.50. And this project, the sidewalk costs are assessed to the property owners, and so the cost for the replacement sidewalk under this bid would have been about $21.62 per square foot for the sidewalk, whereas in 2019, the price was $10.36 per square foot. And so it would be a financial burden on the property owners, we felt, to award this project. And so therefore, we're recommending to reject the bid for this project, and then we'll rebid it at a later date and incorporate it into a larger project. So staff recommends approval of the resolution to reject the bid.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 21-037.
So moved.
Yes, a motion and a second. Any public comment? Council comments, questions? Councilman Brink?
Just a procedural question. Jackie, or have we ever had to rebid it twice due to unfavorable pricing conditions?
Yeah, every once in a while it does happen, and it depends how busy contractors are, what pricing is during the year. This year, we tried to separate this project into its own bid, which we felt was one of the drivers of the higher prices as well, because we didn't incorporate fillet work and valley gutter work with it. We actually incorporated that in the overlay bid this year. So it does happen on occasion, every once in a while.
Councilmember Tilton Burn.
Construction world skyrocketing and staying very high. Is that potentially one of the reasons that this bid was on the higher end?
It seems like concrete was somewhat higher, but when we talked to the contractor, they really like to do this type of project with a larger concrete project where there's much more work, not just the trip hazard work. It really isn't a very profitable, type of project. So if everybody's schedule is really busy, then not as many contractors are interested.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Aye. Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Resolution 21-037 is approved. And continuing on.
Okay, the next resolution I have is resolution, excuse me, I didn't write the resolution number down. 21-038, rejecting bids for the 2021-05 SDI project, the concrete maintenance project. In this project, we held a bid letting on April, primarily city work at 8th Street South and Main Avenue to replace the intersection with concrete pavement. And then we also had Brookings Municipal's water main along with the project. And so this project resulted in a bid of $655,589.78, which was about 40% higher than the engineer's estimate of $468,505.50. And many of the items within this bid were higher this year, including gravel, concrete, on the video detection system, and the water main work. And so staff is recommending rejecting this bid. Local contractors indicated their project schedules were very full, and so we didn't have as many interested in this project either. So we recommend rebidding at a later date for construction in 2022, and staff recommends approval of the resolution to reject this bid.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Public comment on this one? Identify yourself, please, and
What'd you say? Hi there. My name is Kesman Willert, and I am a resident in Brookings, and I recently accepted a job at Bose Construction. With that being said, I've been following this new stuff and policies going on within Brookings community. Could I pass out some information to the city council? Yeah.
so is this your intent specific to this item, or is this more of a bigger picture? Okay.
Thank you.
So I just have one quick question. Being so the road going on 8th Street South, north and or east and west, and then north and south, Main Avenue South. Those are asphalt roads right now. With that being said, those being asphalt roads, my question is, why aren't we going with asphalt for the intersection? Now, moving forward with that, and I think there's a reason, there's this misconception that asphalt, needs more maintenance, needs more work. And the information that I just passed out to you was a study done by Civil Design here in 2016. What that study goes through is it first explains how the study was done, and it looked at performance costs, asphalt costs. Some things that it didn't have was like traffic count and things like that. Over this study, it was about a period of 40 years. It observed 3 main stretches of road within Brookings, and I agreeably think that they're all really comparable as far as traffic and what they hold. With that being said, looking at it, PCC pavement and observing their inflated cost with maintenance over the course of 40 years, PCC was over 2/3 or over about a third to what HMA was, hot mix asphalt. So what that means is you're roughly paying about a square foot, about $13.25 for concrete, versus when you're looking at asphalt, you're looking at about $4.30. Now, I know that there might be some issues, and people might think there's issues with the asphalt on top of the intersection. However, I think it's because of the subgrade below. Now, with that being said, I asked the estimators at Bose Construction to come up with an estimate for the project as an alternate, and that's kind of what I'm asking, why we don't have an asphalt alternate, because with that being said, the asphalt alternate was about $200,000 less than the bid from the concrete bid that came in, as well as being about $40,000 to $50,000 below the engineer estimate. Imagine what we could do with $200,000 extra dollars or $50,000 extra dollars, and what we could do as far as place that to generate revenue and generate sales tax within the community, rather than just spending it on a road and infrastructure. I think it's really important that we do have a good infrastructure, but I think with that being said, we need to look at all options as far as moving forward and make the option and choose the best option that economically makes sense for Brookings. Thank you guys for letting me voice my concern, and I'm around for any more questions. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, anybody else? Public comment? Okay, please call a roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins, Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Resolution 21-038 is approved. Next one.
Okay, this item is action on Resolution 21-036, a resolution of 1-08 STI Street Maintenance and Overlay Project. The city held a bid letting on April 20th, and we did receive 2 bids from Bose Construction and bid from Bose Construction was $1,690,000, $510.97, was approximately 15% lower than the engineer's estimate of just shy over $2 million. The project will be ongoing throughout the summer, and on the map up on the screen, you can see a number of the streets that the city will be completing this summer. And then we also incorporated a large amount of concrete work within this project, which is why there was a less amount of concrete work for the trip hazard project. And staff recommends approval of the resolution as presented.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any public comment on this one? Council comments or questions? Please call a roll.
Collins, Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Okay, resolution's approved. And finally,
Okay, and the final resolution we have for tonight, action on Resolution 21-04, Airport Pavement Maintenance and Rehabilitation Project, AIP number 346-0005-034, 2021. The city held a bid letting on April 20th for this project as very competitive bids on the project. The low bid was from Farner Asphalt Sealers out of Wisconsin for $174,882.66, which is approximately 34% lower than the Helms and Associates engineer's estimate of $265,000. Helms does have experience with this company. The city has not worked with them before, but they're really reputable airport contractor. So we are really happy to have such good prices. And this project will be contingent upon receipt and approval of good faith DBE effort and an FAA grant offer. Right now, the city's match is 6.5%, and then the rest of the grant will be covered by federal and state funding. However, it may be that the 6.5% is covered by other additional federal funding with the new transportation bill. So that will be yet to be seen when we receive our grant. And the city recommends approval of the resolution as presented.
okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Public comment? Council comments? Please call a roll.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now under ordinances and first readings, on a first reading, there's no vote taken. Council may discuss this or ask questions, but then I will announce what date we'll have the second reading on that. So, Community Development Director Mike Struck, you're on deck.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Ordinance 21. Ordinance to rezone approximately 33 acres of property south of Brookings within the joint jurisdiction area. The area that's located on your screen, half of it is currently a residential zone. They're proposing to rezone it to a B3. This is in the joint area, so it comes to you with a unanimous recommendation from both the City Planning Commission and the Brookings County Planning Commission, and I would stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions? Comments? Okay. Public comment. Yes. Okay. Seeing none, Public hearing will be on May 11th, 2021. Next.
Ordinance 21 dash amendment to our subdivision regulations. This is a combination of a little bit of cleanup language, moving some of the language around within the subdivision ordinance to place it in a more appropriate section. And then it also incorporates some new language in regards to kind of our street acceptance policy and some of the standards that are put in place. And so I'll just highlight some of the new language. It does require that the developer, when constructing roads, utilizes a private engineering firm to review the construction and then provide the necessary documentation indicating that those infrastructure improvements were constructed in accordance to the plans and specs that were submitted and approved by city. And then once they sign off on that, then there's portions that get into a warranty security. And then we lessened the warranty period from 3 years down to 1 year. And then there was also some cleanup language on the drainage improvements. And did I cover everything correctly?
Yes.
And I guess I would stand for any questions that you may have.
Public. Okay, seeing none, be a public hearing on May 11th. And finally,
Ordinance 21-017, existing section of our zoning ordinance, section 94-165, which is the SDSU Campus Edge Neighborhood Design Review Overlay District, and replaces it with our Commercial Corridor Design Review Overlay District. This does come to you as a recommendation from the Planning Commission on a 7-0 vote. This looks at our key corridors into the community and making sure that we have some design regulations in place that helps provide guidance to staff, to decision makers like the Planning Commission and City Council yourself, but also to our developers and designers, so they have some guidance going forward that if they design their properties, their developments, their structures, there's some level of assurance that they'll move through the approval process. This is an overlay district, so the underlying zoning district does still set the parameters as far as the types of uses that are allowed within the districts, as well as some of the minimum lot area setback requirements of that nature. One of the things with this, we are encouraging buildings to move closer to the streets, hide the parking on the rear or side of the building so that as you're coming down the corridors, some of the key features that you're seeing, the attention is put on the buildings and the businesses within those structures rather than focusing on your parking lots and the vehicles. It's an opportunity to try and incorporate pedestrian safety by minimizing conflict points. And with that, we would stand for any questions that you may have.
any council or public comments or questions on this? Councilman Brink?
I of this overlay district through reading the ordinance, but I wondered in terms of educating others on that, do you have pictures that will be also incorporated to help?
Streets, not saying that the developments are good, bad, or indifferent, but one example is the block, I believe it's between 11th and 12th Street, the lofts at Park Hill, where we did bring the building closer to the front. And I think that was one of the things that was kind of the emphasis of why we needed to incorporate something, because we really struggled at the Planning Commission level, and I think it took us about 3 or 4 months to work through it because we didn't have a lot of guidance in place. Our comp plan wasn't in place at that time. We didn't know if moving the structure 4 or 5 feet closer to the street was appropriate, the height, what impact would the shadows have. And so that was some of the reasons why this was incorporated. I think when you see the finished product, it's a little bit better to understand and see. And then, just a block away, we have certainly a nice facility, nice development, but the parking is the emphasis when you're coming down the street. What's the first thing you see is you see the parking lots, and you have a very nice building that's set back. And so we're trying to emphasize not only the buildings, but the businesses within there, and then, really hide the parking on the backside. So we can certainly try and get some good examples of pictures to show people, but then I think we could also just take a look around our community and see things that, I think we feel like we really like, and things that if we had a do-over, we'd maybe try it a different way.
I think it would serve a dual purpose of being able to then also compliment or kind of reward people who are doing it correctly, where it looks good. You say, this is what we want you to emulate or look at. And then I had a secondary question with regards to the previous district name that was there, the campus district. There was a line in the packet that indicated that that ordinance had never been used before. What do you mean by the ordinance is used or not used?
So
Because
that-
what are we?
Yeah, so that particular section of the ordinance, I believe, was adopted, I lose track, 8 to 10 years ago. And since it was adopted, we didn't have a single project that came forward within that area. And the emphasis behind that particular zoning amendment at that time was the Planning Commission, the council, and the community talked about, if we're going to see redevelopment on 6th Street or in that area, we want to make sure that there's some land assimilation completed so that one person can't come in the middle of the block with a small parcel and mess up the future development of that entire area. And so at that time, I think the requirement was is you had to, if you wanted to seek redevelopment, you had to have at least a half a block of area to move forward with a project. And I think that may have been one of the deterrents, just in the cost factor of trying to, purchase half a block of property, and then you look at your capital investment, and then to basically redevelop it all, it just kind of became a little cost prohibitive.
So if we move forward with this change, then maybe you can just tell me for a future project in one of these locations, how would that property owner first be introduced to these guidelines? Where would they hear about this and how?
Well, oftentimes it'll start with just a conversation, either over the telephone or they stop into our office, and then we just kind of walk them through the different rules, regulations, parameters. Then they usually would, work with a design firm, whether it be on the architectural side or the engineering side, to start laying out their site and kind of what they want to do as a project. And then we just kind of walk them through the various steps, and then when they're ready, they can certainly come talk to our development review team at any time.
So is there any risk that they'll start down a path of developing before they know what these guidelines are? I guess is kind of where I'm getting at.
They could potentially, I guess if they get the cart before the horse and they don't talk to the city, it'd be like anything. If they start trying to move forward with the development with all the design without talking to us, and then they come and submit them for their site plan and their building plans for our review, then we start to do the editing and the conversations occurs. I think we've gotten this out to some of our local design firms so they're aware of it, and they would certainly help provide some guidance to their clientele.
Good deal. Thank you.
Also, any other? Okay, manager?
I would just like to make known how much this item 8C and 8B has been about a year and a half, almost 2-year project. And it was actually a directive by City Council through your strategic plan. And so I know Mike and his team, Jake and DRT, have spent countless hours on this. But just as importantly, the Planning Commission. They've tabled it multiple times to refine it, had discussions with developers. And so not only the overlay project, it's going to protect the character of this community. I've often heard many times people say when they come into the Brookings, they love how beautiful it looks. And this will keep that character in place. But also item 8B, when you talk about infrastructure, this ensures as we're receiving infrastructure on behalf of the developer and for the city, that we're accepting that infrastructure and it's meeting standards. So therefore, we're not having to use taxpayer dollars to reinvest in that street just a year or two later. So hats off to Mike and your team and the development review team and planning commission for successfully bringing this forward. I know this is the first reading, but I appreciate all of you guys' hard work on this.
Thank you.
Okay, second reading and public hearing. Now we'll call CFO Eric Rangel up.
Good evening. This ordinance is requesting authorization of supplemental appropriation number 3 to the 23 parts. Part number 1 will redistribute 3B and bid 2020 sales tax surplus to supported economic development agencies for a total of $84,729. These agencies were cut 15% of their 2020 budget due to COVID. And even though the city experienced a slowdown in revenues, the reduction was not as steep as originally anticipated. Thus, city staff is proposing to redistribute 41% of the original cuts to the respective agencies. Part number 2 will increase the CIP fund appropriation by $358,000 to execute the purchase of a fire truck financed by the landfill per resolutions 2009 and 20014 enacted last year. And lastly, part number 3 will increase funding by $30,000 to cover initial efforts to prepare for implementation of the marijuana legalization bill. This request is incremental to the 2021 budget and will be funded by General Funds 2020 unassigned surplus. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
First and then in a second. Any public comment? Okay, close public hearing. Council comments? All right, Bonnie, call the roll.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Eric, for your work on this. Okay, continuing public hearing and second readings, we'll have Chief Building Official Jared Thomas.
Good evening. Number 21009 will amend Chapter 22 of the City Ordinance to adopt the 2018 I codes with amendments. City staff met with members of the Board of Appeals to review existing ordinance, and as part of that review, we reached out to Sustainability Council to join in our discussion specifically regarding Chapter 11 of the energy efficiency. This ordinance is a result of that combined input. City staff and Board of Appeals both recommend approval.
Okay, entertain.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Council comment? Please call the roll.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Okay, now let's turn over to the city clerk for a few public hearings.
Mayor and council members and audience, the Brookings Cubs Bay temporary alcohol lion will be held at Bob Sheldon Field in May, June, July, and August of 2021. There is a total of 21 dates on this application. The first approval of a temporary alcohol license for Bob Sheldon Field and the Cubs baseball group was in 2019. They did not have a season in 2020 due to COVID-19 and the redevelopment project of Bob Sheldon Field. So a public hearing is required for all temporary alcohol licenses. All required documentation has been filed with the city. Staff recommends approval. Aaron Jornby is present via Zoom if you have any questions for him.
Okay, any public comment on this? Or you want... Seeing none, council entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
All right, continuing on with resolution 21-035.
Mayor, council members, and audience, in front of you tonight is a transfer of a liquor operating agreement. This is for Mike Fergan, who is the owner of Race Corner, which is located at 401 Main Avenue. He has recently purchased 403 Main Avenue, which is located adjacent to or on the north side of their existing business. The owner's plans are to connect both of these buildings, these entities, with an internal doorway. They are seeking to change the legal description to allow both properties use of their on-sale liquor license. Approval of this item would allow the change in that legal description, thus allowing the city manager to sign a new liquor operating agreement with Mike Fergan, which would be in effect for 10 years with a midterm renewal in 5 years. A public hearing is required on these alcohol licenses, and all required documentation has been filed with the city. If this is approved, the license and the application would be held until an occupancy permit has been issued by the Community Development Department, as they'll be doing some reconstruction of the new additional space. Once that is completed and the permit is issued, it will then be sent to the State Department of Revenue for final review and issuance. Staff recommends approval, and Lisa Steenson, who is the manager of Ray's Corner, is present this evening if you have any questions.
Okay, so we open the public hearing. Lisa, do you want to speak to this or just stand by? Okay. You and Mike flipped and you lost, or what? You and Mike flipped and you lost, or? Yeah, okay. Any public comment on this? Okay, council comments or questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, that's a motion and a second. Please call a roll.
Bacon? Aye. Brink?
Aye.
Collins?
Aye.
Corbett?
Aye.
Niemeyer?
Aye.
Tiltonberg?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. And going on number 9E.
Mayor, council members, and audience, the next two items on your agenda are related. One of them is for action on an off malt license, and the other is a video lottery request for the same location. So Fergans Enterprises, doing business as Ray's Corner at 401 Main Avenue, has applied for this license. They are wanting to add a video lottery suite in the new location, 403, which was now combined with 401 Main Avenue. This will allow up to 10 additional video lottery machines at this location. All required documents have been submitted, and like the previous item, this application would be held until the occupancy permit has been issued by the Community Development Department, then forwarded on to PEER, the South Dakota Department of Revenue. Lisa Steenson is still here if you have any questions for her.
Okay. Once again, Lisa, you just want to wait? Okay, that works well. Any public comment on this one? Council comments? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call a roll.
Brink?
Aye.
Collins?
Aye.
Corbett?
Aye.
Niemeyer?
Aye.
Tiltonberg?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Bacon?
Aye.
Well, Bonnie, you're on a roll. You want to continue?
This item is the video lottery request portion to the previous on-off sale malt license. If you have any questions, we can take them from you now.
You want to speak to this one, Lisa? Okay, okay. Well, I thought you were volunteering to speak. I didn't know. Any other public comment on this one? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call a roll.
Collins?
Aye.
Corbett?
Aye.
Niemeyer?
Aye.
Tiltonberg?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Bacon?
Aye.
Brink?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. You can go back, tell Mike you were successful, okay? Yeah, okay, that works well. Here comes Mike Strucker, Community Development Director again.
Can I just ask, does the timer apply to?
Jake pushes the button, it does, but
All right, sorry.
you,
All right.
you want him to hit the yellow button now?
Red, please. All right. I guess Resolution 21-032 is a resolution amending the 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future land use map. With comprehensive planning, you hope that you're working with consultants and you spend a significant amount of time and you get done and you think you got it right. And sometimes things change. And so the future land use map, the comp plan, it's a guide. And so it's subject to change as existing conditions change, economic conditions change and such. And so before you tonight is an amendment to our future land use plan. The area for consideration is highlighted on the overhead in the yellow outlined area. It's property that was purchased by the Brookings School District, and they are interested in partnering with the Brookings Area Transit Authority on a transportation facility that would house not only office space, but garaging space, and then also with Beta being able to provide the transfer with like Jefferson bus lines and things, so there'd be some waiting rooms and things like that. The current land use designation in this area is for medium-density residential development, and the request is to amend the comp plan to an urban medium intensity. The way the comp plan is based with the intensity-based model, the current medium-density residential would not support a rezoning reclassification to allow a use like a transportation facility in this particular location. With the interchange project under in the planning stages and going through that process, and 22nd Avenue being one of the major corridors into the community, an urban medium intensity is appropriate down in this particular area. It does come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and staff would stand by for any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Open public hearing at this time. Anyone care to speak to this? Any council care to speak to it? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Bonnie, please call the roll.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Under other business, continue on.
Thank you. The action before you tonight is requesting action on a preliminary plat for 7 lots up along the Highway 14 bypass west of Western Avenue. The applicant is proposing to do a commercial development up in that area, primarily focused on the contractor shop, storage units type situation. This does come to you as a 7-2 recommendation from the Planning Commission. One of the major concerns in this particular area is the lack of available public municipal infrastructure. It can be served by a rural water system, but there is not sanitary sewer readily available within the vicinity. There was some filling in this area to raise the site up out of the floodplain, and by so doing that, they are not able to use a septic system per state requirements. So their other means is to do holding tanks, which is what they are proposing to do. And they do meet the legal requirements of the state. And I think the nearest sanitary sewer is somewhere in the ballpark of 1,500 to 2,000 feet away. And so state law and Brookings Municipal Utilities do have regulations in place that if you're within a certain distance, you can be required to hook up to municipal utilities, but that distance requirement is not met in this particular situation. So with that, staff does recommend approval, and I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Council comments or questions? Oh, Councilmember Bacon.
Mike, I couldn't hear you completely. They'll be connecting to the city sewer system?
No, they will be using holding tanks, concrete holding on a regular basis. Is located from the intersection of Highway 14 and Western Avenue. It's south of that intersection, several hundred feet, and they're looking to develop on the the western side of their of the land that they own. The eastern, probably half of the land that's closest to Western Avenue is really low and virtually undevelopable. That's where the big box culvert, I believe, runs diagonally through there, and there's a lot of water that comes through that area. So they're going to the high ground.
Any other questions?
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye. And finally, Mike.
Thank you. Last item, apologize for loading you up this evening. Resolution 21-03 to adopt the Brookings Historic Preservation Plan. This is a project that has been in the works for some years.
we were able to receive some grant funding through the state of South Dakota that covers approximately 2/3 of the cost of the plan. The city is responsible for the other third of the cost. It started with some public meetings, kickoff meetings. They did the existing conditions where they toured the historic districts. Got started in late 2019, and then in early 2020, we were able to do some public meetings, and then we had to take a pause with some of the pandemic issues. We had to adjust how we were going to conduct public meetings. They were able to do some online meetings, some virtual surveys, and we were able to get together with the Historic Preservation Commission. They worked through a number of the suggestions, changes. The real emphasis here is on the implementation matrix. It sets the guidelines, the goals, the policies, and the strategies moving forward for the next 10 plus years for the city. Unfortunately, our chair was not able to make it this evening, but she did ask that I read a statement. So this is from the chair of the Brookings Historic Preservation Commission, Jessica Garcia Fritz. As the current chair of the Brookings Historic Preservation Commission, I represent the commission in support of the Historic Preservation Plan. We have been working with Winter and Company since 2019 to reflect on the previous 1999 plan and to implement program goals over the next 10 plus years. What has resulted from this work is a plan that represents the Brookings Historic Preservation Commission, as well as those who participated in public meetings to develop the plan. We hope the City Council finds it comprehensive with achievable goals in place to allow for its adoption. Thank you. With that, it does come to you on a 6-0 recommendation from the Historic Preservation Commission for approval, and I would stand for any questions that you may have.
Entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion and a second. Council comments or questions? Councilman Brink?
I'm happy to see this come before us tonight, and I noticed one comment in there towards the end of the plan, in the kind of the administration component and city staff, and there was a comment in there about making sure we have adequate city staff resources to administer the elements of this plan. And I think that that's just a good comment in general. We put money and time into putting a plan like this in place, just like other investments we might make in physical infrastructure. To me, it makes sense that we honor that investment by following through with implementation. And so I did notice in your implementation matrix, there are a number of different responsible stakeholders, and the city is one of those stakeholders in various components. So I just hope that the BHPC and you can continue to let us know when there are things that the city needs to do to support that implementation.
We will certainly do our best to keep you informed.
Bonnie, please call the roll.
Aye. Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
All right, 21-3 is approved. Thanks, Mike. Now, calling on Resolution 21-028, Brookings Health System CEO and President, Jason Merkley, and looks like you got Mr. Morris along accompanying you, keeping you out of trouble, I hope. Yeah, well.
I'm just going to have, maybe I'll have Toby, Jason Merkley, Brookings Health System President and CEO. I'll maybe have Toby go through the memo. We engaged him and Colliers to do some refinancing. I think the memo's been provided to you all, and then we'll just stand for questions.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Toby Morris with Colliers. Some of the good things perhaps with COVID that's happened recently has been the historic low interest rates. So about late last fall, early winter, started discussing with Jason as well as the banks in town that we had worked with originally on the debt from 2013, 2015. This is just really a renegotiation of the interest rates of the amortization, where it really leads into about a $2+ million in savings. So it's incredible for the Brookings Hospital on that. What you're looking at tonight is just a straightforward resolution to allow the change of terms It doesn't affect anything with the city on the constitutional debt or so forth. It's just the existing terms at a much better rate. I could gladly go into more detail, but I think it's good news to see that kind of savings.
Okay, entertain a motion to.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any public comment? Council comments? Well, you did a great job, Toby. You need to come back more often.
I like to see it too, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, Bonnie, please call the roll.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
All right, resolution 21-028 is approved. We've already done the COVID-19 update, so what you've all been waiting for, the City of Brookings progress report by the Assistant City Manager.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of the council. This is the April 2021 edition of the Progress 20th Street Interchange project continues to go as planned, knock on wood. Purchase officers are being presented to property owners and right-of-way for easements. Relocation officers are being made for those properties that are impacted. At this time, the plans are completed. Just from a high-level reminder of the timeline for this project, they're submitting the Phase 2 grant agreement to FHWA right now. Certifications right-of-way in June 21. Bidding in fall of 21, and then the exciting part of construction in 2022 and 23. I'm not sure if Jackie's still here, but she's continuing to do a fantastic job. We've got DJ Boothie, our new Public Works Director, back there, who is quickly coming up to speed with us and also doing a great job. One of our primary projects this year is the Jefferson Avenue Drainage Project, and that's going to be starting here very soon in early May. As you'll see on your screen, there is the project area highlighted in front of you. It will be completed yet this year in October of 2021. There are 2 phases, but they will both be completed this year as well, so they will just start on the northern half and work to the south. As a reminder, the scope of this project is before you: water main, storm sewer, curb and gutter, ramps, and then as well as an exciting storm sewer pilot project. The way that it'll work is it'll be a PVC pipe that will connect the sump pumps directly into the storm sewer system. BMU is working very closely on this process. It's something that they have found in other communities that has worked very well, so we're excited to try this in our community and see if this is something that will be able to be integrated in more projects as we move forward. Engage Brookings is our service request mobile app and online web portal. As hard as it is to believe, we've already been using it for 1 year. We launched it in March of 2020, and now we find ourselves in March of 21, thankfully. Before you tonight is some of the statistics. As we get through that year in review, it's nice to look back and see how the app was utilized in our first year. So we had a total of 775 service requests that came in. 646 of those, or about 83%, were external, which means that those were to members of the public. We also have some internal functions that we use as staff for IT requests, facility maintenance, things of that nature. Some very great statistics from our staff in the initial usage of this. As those service requests comes in, on average, the resident was seeing that their request was acknowledged within 70.75 days. So in less than a day, the resident is being informed that staff is actively working on their request and working towards that resolution. As a follow-up to that, within 4 days, we're seeing that those requests were closed, which means that those were resolved. So that's all across the organization, from Public Works to Park and Rec to City Manager's Office. Just a great response from staff overall. So as the members of the public view this presentation tonight, I hope they see that we are very responsive and continue to use our mobile app, our web portal, because we will get back to you very quickly by and large. Spring cleanup is winding down. The curbside cleanup is now complete. Again, DJ Boothie oversaw that this year with the help of Parks and Recreation Director Dusty Rodick, and again, done a phenomenal job. As a reminder to the residents, there are a few days of free dumping left at the landfill. That will end on April 30th. As a reminder, there is a small fee for certain items, to include tires and anything that includes Freon, but other than that, please bring your items to the landfill. In a future progress report, we'll go ahead and provide the statistics, as we try to do annually, on how much we collected and things of that nature. So another successful spring cleanup and a little bit of an opportunity for free dumping at the landfill. Now is a great time to register for summer recreation programs. The registration is available online, via phone, or via email, whichever is most convenient for our residents. Something new this year that came out of partnership with the Human Rights Commission was offering our rec program available in Spanish for the first time. So that version is now available online. We'll also have a print version coming very soon, And with the Human Rights Commission, SDSU will have the opportunity to distribute that to those folks. So that's a great addition for our community and something that we're very excited to launch this year. Bob Sheldon ribbon cutting was held on April 16th. The renovation is complete. The facility did go into use that evening. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend in person, but I was able to watch it on our YouTube channel. So I would encourage all of our residents who weren't able to go in person, check out the city's YouTube channel and watch that event. But honestly, even better, get out and watch a ball game because it's a wonderful facility. I encourage everyone to go and see that in person. Community Games is a adult team challenge activity. So it's an individual and team activities that competition. It's open to any fitness level, so even Paul and I will be competing. You can participate in as many or as few events as you want. Teams range from 10 to 25 members, and online registration is open now. We had the opportunity to recognize our public safety communications folks, our dispatchers, if you will. It was their national week, April 11th through 17th. To celebrate them, we partnered with the dispatch and our public information officer, Chelsea, to do some fun facts on social media, alerting the members of the public through our Facebook page exactly what it is that they do and the great service that they provide to our community on a day-in-day basis. As a reminder, we are on the fringe of storm season, so I say that cautiously, but if we do get inclement weather, we do want to provide a reminder to the public that this building, the City and County Government Center, is a storm shelter area. If there is severe weather, you're more than welcome to come here, and we do have room down in the basement here to provide cover from severe and inclement weather. The Friends of the Library completed their Friends of Library grab bag book sale. In total, they sold about 348 bags and raised nearly $1,500. Just really want to thank everyone who participated in that event. It was very well received. They just kind of bundled books together by genre, and it was a great opportunity for readers to just kind of pick up a fiction pack or whatever their interests are and get some new material that they hopefully haven't read before. Lastly, the Swiftel Center did host a few events. The AAU Region Wrestling Tournament was held on March 13th and had nearly 2,000 attendees, as well as the Wildfire Rumble the Jungle Cheer and Damp competition was on March 27th to 28th, and that held nearly 6,000 attendees between those 2 days. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Bacon.
I just wanted to comment on the Engage Brookings. And it was a concern I had in our alley, and I don't think it was 24 hours before staff was there, resolved the issue. So doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the storm shelter piece, am I remembering correctly that if people need to utilize that, they can also bring their... Thank you.
Councilmember Brink.
I was going to make a comment about the Bob Sheldon Field and what a great asset that is. I was not able to make the ceremony, but I was actually at the field right before this meeting, and I'll be returning there right after this meeting where my son is currently playing. The point I wanted to make is I've already been to several games at that facility, and just hearing the chatter of the other parents from different towns that come there, people are taking pictures, they're talking about it, they're saying this is what we need. There's a lot of excitement, and so I just wanted to share that with the group because it's being recognized as a really top-notch facility.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Meshke. So May 11th, the next meeting. We'll have the certificates of election, oath of office to Mayor-elect Niemeyer, and re-election to Councilmember Bacon and Councilmember Wendell. And then open forum, 3 ordinance first readings, contract change orders regarding Swiftel pavement reconstruction project, and a community development block grant for the food pantry. Anything else? Oh, yeah.
If I can. Early tonight, I mentioned the hard work and effort that the one person I forgot to mention tonight was Jackie. Jackie really spearheaded the efforts of the infrastructure development policy. That's the stormwater and streets. And I apologize for that, but I guess this is a great moment to reflect on Jackie. She's retiring here in the next month and a half. And when I think about that policy, really it's about accepting infrastructure that's going to last a long time. And when you think about Jackie's work here and her effort, she's always looked out for the best interest of the city. So this is kind of the policy that's leaving the lasting legacy of Jackie. So appreciate all your work, Jackie.
Anything else? To adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.